Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talk the Walk TV. I'm your host, Richard Luby, the founder of Talk the Walk Disability Inclusion Consulting Service. I'm lucky enough once again to have a great guest on the line. I feel as though this show is becoming a world traveler because I'm getting a lot of guests outside of the United States, and I love that because we're trying to bring together everybody within the disability community. I am very excited to say that I have the president and founder of the Ontario and Canadian Personal Support Workers Association. Her name is Miranda Ferrier. We're going to introduce her cause and get to know her a little bit, understanding the ins and outs of what brought her into the disability community. Miranda, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much once again for being on the line and being a guest at Talk the Walk TV. For the listeners and audience members who do not know you, can you give a quick introduction of who you are? And then more importantly, what brought you into the disability community? Is there a personal connection for you?
Sure. Well, like you said, I'm Miranda Ferrier. I'm the president and founder of the Ontario and Canadian Support Workers Association. I am a personal support worker myself, so I guess in the United States I would be equivalent to a certified nursing assistant, so a CNA. I became a personal support worker 11 years ago. I have worked in home care and in long-term care, and I realized very early on in my career that there was no support system up here in Ontario and Canada for the frontline worker. And so I created this association based on need and demand. I mean, we take care of society's most vulnerable, and it's important that support workers have the support as well so that they can perform their jobs accordingly. I do have a personal connection to the disability world. I have a son who has autism, Asperger's actually. We like to call him our Canadian Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory. He is my world, and that's how I kind of got involved in the disability world.
Well, thank you very much for that, that in-depth introduction. One thing that you just said, that there was a need for this type of support. And in the States, I'm not too familiar if there are those types of agencies. Are you familiar? Are there agencies similar to yours? And I believe for the United States audience, is there another term used for the support workers?
I believe it's certified nursing assistant, and then I believe there's just nursing assistant or aides. I know I have a couple of family relatives who live in the United States, and they work as CNAs, but I will say that there actually is no other professional association for frontline workers in the world. There is ours, and then we also advised on one in the UK, United Kingdom, but that's it. So we are the only ones in the world, basically, for frontline workers.
Wow, you guys should really be proud of that. And then because you said there's a need, can you kind of give us an idea of what types of needs are there? Obviously, these are the frontline workers, like you said. They are living it every day. They are working with certain clients, and they are dealing with many different dilemmas and also celebrations. And I don't think a lot of times they get enough credit for the things that they do because they are the make or break behind the client's success. Can you give us some examples of possible needs and reasons why you thought it was very important to establish your organization?
Well, so first and foremost, like you said, Rich, support workers or CNAs, they do a thankless job. I always say it's like being a parent, right? When you're in support worker, it's like being a parent. You don't get thank yous very often, but you do it because you come from a place where you want to help people, or at least that's the reason why you should be doing it.
Yeah.
I found very early on that, they don't have a set scope of practice. So here in Ontario, one of our biggest issues is that we're in the community, we're working in long-term care homes, we're working in group homes, and there was no formal body that said you can and cannot do this. There's something out there that's kind of flimsy that kind of flows around that they call our scope of practice, but nobody really adheres to it, which is actually very scary because support workers assist those with their activities of daily living. So you're looking at anything from when you get up in the morning to when you go to sleep at night, anything in between, including feeding or eating. That would be something that a support worker would be assisting you with. And so with no oversight, and no real set scope of practice or standards of practice, you're dealing kind of with the wild, wild west when it comes to support workers. So we felt that in developing this association that we could petition the Ontario government to become the governing body. Now, I don't know how it plays there in the States, but here in Canada, we have regulation, which I know you guys do down there, but we also have governance. And we're not vying for regulation. Regulation for our support workers here would mean that they would be put underneath a regulatory health, act. There would have to be controlled acts that would be formed. It would be a very expensive process. Whereas if they were governed, it would be self-regulation. So me being a personal support worker myself, my colleague, Kathleen Scott, is also a personal support worker. We believe that in order to speak for a profession, you need to be of that profession. You can't be something else speaking for another body of people. So, that's really our goal with the government. We do primarily non-medical care, which I know the CNAs also perform down in the States, is more so just the activities of daily living, the ADLs, and non-medical care. So that's what we're trying to vie for, is governance. And we're hoping that our model up here perhaps gets picked up down there and we can assist.
No, this is all phenomenal, and like you said, much needed. How do you feel the response is within your government and within Canada?
Well, actually, we've had outstanding response. We were actually in Ottawa, which is our capital of Canada, a few weeks ago. We were speaking to our federal government, which is, they oversee all of Canada, and they were very, very receptive to what we're doing. They were very supportive. On more of a province level, it has been more of a task, I'll be honest. This is something that's never been done. So I always find that whenever you're trying to do something that's never been done, it's always more difficult because nobody knows what to do with you. They kind of just think, oh, you're doing something really good, so let's make it difficult for you. But on the plus side, we are speaking to government tonight. We're making a big speech in front of the Health Committee in relation to our home care sector here in Ontario, and that's something that just not anybody can do. So we're very proud to have been called upon by the government in order to do that.
No, that's phenomenal, because that shows that you are making strides and making progress, especially if you're going to speak in front of the government. People are finally listening to what you're doing.
So they're listening huge. And we're very prominent in the media here as well. Not bad media, bad media per se. There's been a lot of reports here in Canada about support workers who were caught assaulting or theft or raping, unfortunately, clients in their care. And so we were the ones that had to go on TV in order to answer the questions as to why this would happen. And we'd have to defend the PSW, or the personal support worker kind of role. So we're very prominent in media. And I always say, because government doesn't like it when I do media, and I always say that if we had never started doing media, 10 years ago, we would not be where we are today.
No, I could see absolutely where you're coming from. And when you say that you have to speak on the workers' behalf, how are organizations, shall I say, responding to you as well? So not only are you battling to get the exposure from the government and understanding from the government, how are organizations who have these workers responding to your goals as well?
We find that the larger entities are kind of on the fence about us, the larger corporations, but we find that a lot of the smaller corporations, they jump on board with us very quickly. They like the fact that we have membership requirements for our association. So, in order to be a member of our association, you have to have gone to a personal support worker course in the province of Ontario, to an accredited program. You have to be who you say you are, and you can't be an axe murderer from Alberta. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to have a clear criminal record check. And we also carry ID badges here at the association. So if you're a member of the association, we have an ID badge that clearly identifies you as a personal support worker, that you are fully vetted and that you are trustworthy. And so a lot of employers really enjoy that aspect, because we also have a set scope of practice, a set standards of practice, and a code of ethics, and a complaints and discipline committee. So we've basically already set ourselves up as the governing body. We're just waiting for the government to kind of, open the present and go forward with it. But where employers are concerned, they're mostly on side with us. When they're not is when we kind of start asking questions.
Yeah, actually, you would think so. Because of the accountability and credibility that you've just mentioned with your organization, you would wonder why these other organizations are putting up barriers. Do you have any idea of maybe why you said bigger organizations for some reason are hesitant? Is it because, do you find that bigger organizations think or want to do things their own way and they don't want to conform, let's say?
Oh, big time. You hit the nail right on the head there, Rich. I think we had a situation happen here in Ontario just last week where we had an RPN, which is a registered practical nurse. It was actually brought to our attention by some of our PSW members that she was not a nurse, in fact, and she was working in a long-term care facility, which is governmentally run, without her proper license. And so that was a large corporation, and they hadn't done their homework. They hadn't done the credential checking. They had done nothing. So I think that kind of plays into what you just said, is they don't want to have to basically be fully accountable, I guess. I mean, maybe the people at the very, very top, but maybe the people halfway down, not so much. But we find it is the larger corporations that kind of tiptoe around us more so.
That's unfortunate, and sadly, I'm not speaking on behalf of any companies, but it might be another. Here we go with another check box. Here's another rule and regulation that we have to go through, and it becomes more of a pain than in their eyes, and that is unfortunate. One thing that
it is unfortunate.
Yeah, because who really does suffer? It's the clients, and also not only the clients, the employees that you guys oversee.
Oh, huge. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, everyone's goal, or so they say, I mean, I know our goal here at the association is quality of care for those in the care of support workers. And, we believe that if you work together with other employers and with government and with different associations, and you work in partnership as opposed to against each other, then we can increase the quality of care for people that deserve that quality of care.
100%. I'm kind of smiling and laughing, and not in a kind of a good way, because you would think in the world of social services and nonprofits and the disability community that we would all want to work together. But sadly, a lot of times I don't see that, and I wonder why. Do you have any suggestions? Because I'm still trying to figure it out.
Because I think when you mentioned about the corporations beforehand wanting to do things their own way, I think that trickles right down into the disability community. I mean, I know from personal experience, I've had to deal with so many different aspects where my son is concerned. I mean, he's 12 and a half now, and thankfully, he has IBI therapy, and he's doing wonderfully. But when he wasn't doing so wonderfully, I fought against those kind of barriers in the system that didn't enable us to get the help that we needed for him fast enough. And if you don't have the money, then unfortunately you're put on this waiting list, and the child or the client or your loved one suffers the consequences of that, because so many things in life we find, especially in healthcare, it's, the answer is typically it's a simple solution. But for some odd reason, people like to make it difficult. That's the way we feel.
I've actually seen that firsthand myself as an individual with cerebral palsy, getting services throughout school and things of that nature. I've seen that firsthand with my family. But I could tell just by talking with you, it means a lot with somebody who I think is as passionate as the both of us and who have a good support system. I'm thinking of your son, because a lot of times people, they hear that they can't do this, they hear the no, and they just, once again, the word conform to that. You kind of need to speak stronger than that. You kind of have to battle against and challenge the no's to get the needs you look and search for.
Oh, totally. I mean, we have families that call us here at the association on a weekly basis. That call us and say, oh, my mom's not receiving proper care and long-term care, but I don't want to say anything because I'm fearful. Well, we always say to them is the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yes.
So, you have to stick up for your loved ones. You have to stick up for yourself. You have to be that loud, domineering voice, and you have to be rude if need be, because otherwise people are going to listen. And it's sad that that's where in both of our countries the system is, because it should be easy. If you have a disability, you should be able to receive and gain, care without having to jump through so many hoops and go down so many slides just to hit a brick wall at the end of the day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And people like yourself, like your colleague, and organizations similar to the both of us, I think that we definitely need to speak up louder and prouder and get people to really understand that there is not just one way to go around things or to get the answer. Speaking up loud and proud and getting what you need is not a wrongdoing, and it's okay to challenge the status quo, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. I do it on a daily basis, and I'm still standing.
Yeah, there you go. You heard it here first, folks. One thing that I wrote down previous to the interview is you were mentioning that now you're speaking on the behalf of the workers that you represent, and a lot of times it's like you even said examples, speaking on the behalf of people who obviously did some wrongdoing, but you have to speak on the practices of the job itself and the challenges that they see. What is the response from the working staff that you represent?
We get really good response from our members. Our members really like the fact that we don't necessarily represent the bad, but that we promote the good, right? In relation to the association, we represent over 22,000 personal support workers here in Ontario.
Wow.
And it's been a very long time. Well, people say it's been quick. It's been 6.5 years for us. It's been quick to get to this point. But I think PSWs, or personal support workers, are realizing that they are a vital part of the healthcare team, and that their voice matters. And so one thing they love about us is that we really do, truthfully, we talk to the front line. So, I speak to the members. Katie speaks to the members. We're always speaking with our members or with PSWs because we want to use their words and their examples when we are in government or when we are speaking to media. Because you know what, at the end of the day, both Katie and I do not work in the field anymore as personal support workers, so we need to have that frontline right now experience as opposed to like 5 years ago. But for the most part, our members are I would just say for the most part, they are very happy with us. They feel connected to us. They refer to the association as a family-oriented kind of feel when we do conferences and so on and so forth. So I'm proud to say that.
And you should be, Miranda. And one thing when you're talking, it makes me think not just the disability community. I think all different communities once they are appreciated, they go much further for you, and they feel appreciated. So the level of service and quality of everything else behind that increases. So in the world of the support workers, I bet you they appreciate the exposure and all the positive behind what they do, because once again, we were talking previously, I don't think they get it enough. And I think that has an impact on so many different communities.
Oh, it does. I mean, it impacts so many different communities. I mean, one of the things we do at the association that we're proud to do is every single year we do Canada's largest disability trade show, and it's called People in Motion. And we go to it and we supply support workers. They volunteer their time to assist those that require assistance at this event. And it's always so eye-opening, and I find it to be very inspiring when we do this event, because there's so many people out there. Like, we met this one woman last year who's in a wheelchair. She couldn't get around. She, couldn't move. She had to go on our transit system to move all of her stuff because the government wouldn't help pay for it. But to hear how positive she remained and how passionate she was about voicing the concerns, it just really plays into and I talk to elderly people too, that, they're passionate about receiving the right care, or it's astonishing what people can do if you just open your mouth.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And actually, once again, you just mentioned something that we didn't really dive into it. So you represent the working staff or the CNAs kind of within the United States, similar to the CNAs. Are there different parameters? Is there an age range that you cover, things of that nature, or is it open to anybody who is employed by an organization? Can you give us a little bit more information on how to get involved and what criteria is involved to be represented by you?
Sure. Well, you just need to be a personal support worker in Canada, or a healthcare aide in Canada at this point, and we will represent you as long as you've gone to an accredited program. It does not matter how old you are. It does not matter if you are currently working. You just need to be a certificate-holding personal support worker or healthcare aide. That's it.
Wow, okay, so one big check box. Now, one thing though, if let's say somebody is in Canada and they would love to be represented by you, they really agree with what you're saying and believe in your mission, but their organization doesn't buy into what you're saying, can they still be represented by you?
Oh, yes, very much so. We have a lot of personal support workers or healthcare aides that work for companies, because one of the things I like to say is at the association, we're not a union, right? So we're not workplace stuck. Mm-hmm. We represent the entire support worker. So we represent them in work, we represent them in their homes, we represent them as the entire being. So we're out there, we are taking care of the entire support worker. We believe by providing them with extra education, with benefits. I mean, we're just introducing group health benefits, introducing group car and home insurance. We're specializing in the personal support worker. So we've teamed up with like the Home Hospice Association and the Center for Addictions and Mental Health, that we're able to create the mental health PSW and the palliative PSW. We believe in if we provide them with what they need, then they will provide better care to those in their care. That's what we truly believe.
That's phenomenal, because I think it goes well beyond just what you said, beyond just resources and training. It kind of gives back to the individual and shows appreciation, and like you said, it trickles down. Two areas that I want to cover up. We probably have about 7 more minutes for the show. One thing that I wanted to ask is, do you have a lot of partners within your area that are helping you spread the word? I do know that you and I have a shared relationship with the Disability Channel. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. So we also have a show on the Disability Channel. It's called Health Talk Matters. It's myself and my colleague Katie Scott who host this show. We bring on a lot of our corporate partners. So by corporate partners, I mean our companies who provide products, or companies that represent PSWs, like they have them as employees or something. Mm-hmm. We have them onto our show so that we can talk to them about what they offer to Ontarians or Canada or in the States, really, truthfully, because a lot of it's available down there as well. So we're definitely tied in with the Disability Channel as well. Another partner of ours is CTV up here, which I don't know, Canadian TV, I think is what it stands for, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. But that's one of our major news outlets that we work with on a continual basis. I work with a show called W5, which is a huge investigative show up here in Canada as well. It's kind of like your guys, I forget the name of it right now, investigative TV.
Okay. And is that, so we have about 5 more minutes now. Is that where they kind of go behind the scenes to make sure that people or businesses are adhering to the rules and regulations?
Yep, a little bit, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
No, that's good to know. And I love to hear that we have that connection with the Disability Channel. I'm very thankful to Jay and his team because it is power in numbers with anything, but specifically with the disability community. I really feel like we are all showcasing the abilities of individuals within the disability community.
Oh, for sure. I think it's great.
Yeah, 100%. Now, before we go, I wanted to ask, so what is your next steps? Obviously, you've done a lot of things. What are your next steps, and what do you need from the community? Is there any way that people can get in touch with you or to ask questions and things of that nature?
Sure. Well, our next steps are we want to take the world. So if there's anyone in the United States and Connecticut who would like to possibly start an association of their own, if CNAs in the United States feel that this is something that would be of interest to them, they can always contact us. I mean, our website is www.opswa.com. Get in contact with us. Where the disability world is concerned, we always love to hear from them. Contact us with your thoughts, with your concerns. We are here to help. We are here to listen. That's one of the things that we do very well here at the association. And to get involved, well, if they're from this local area, we just love having volunteers out to the People in Motion, which is hosted in Toronto every May. So it's there's a lot of different opportunities, a lot of synergies here, Rich.
100%, absolutely. Thank you very much, Miranda, for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
And Miranda, the next time you say you want to take the world, you need to have some type of evil laugh after you say that, too.
Well, I'll work on it.
Yeah, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, my listeners and viewers, that was Miranda Ferrier from the Ontario Personal Support Association and the Canadian Support Workers Association. Once again, I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to reconnecting with you. I hope to be a guest on your show sometime soon.
You for sure will, Rich. I'll be in touch.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. I look forward to talking to you again on Talk the Walk TV. I once again am the founder of Talk the Walk Disability Inclusion Consulting. I look forward to establishing more relationships within the disability community and getting more guests. If you're interested in becoming a guest on Talk the Walk TV, please don't hesitate to email me at ttwinfo.com. Once again, thank you for your time, and I will see you next time.